Hi, my name is Sean, and I'm happy to welcome you here today. This is not a sales presentation. This is an educational event that is intended to help you understand a little bit regarding this technology today that we're focusing on Production Coach and how it might help you in the manufacturing execution process. So anyway, really excited to be able to help today. So what I'd like for us to start today is I want to give you just a couple of second tour of the RSA Solutions web page. So you might notice that here we are at rsasolutionscom, all kinds of information available here. What I want to point you to real quick is that we have really divided solutions into a variety of areas. So for example, if I came to planning and scheduling, you'll see that that would automatically take you to our web page for our planning assistant. And so if you scroll through it, you'll see that there's some nice screenshots and information about the product. We're always uploading videos and stuff as well for it. And so if you're here today and you might need some kind of assistance with being able to manage your production schedule, to be able to know that you're hitting not only your deadlines, but also meeting your goals and all that kind of stuff, planning assistant is something you might want to consider. You could go down to the next one as an example and say purchasing and inventory. And so here we will see that we have a web page for technology called Planity. Most here, I would imagine, are doing some amount of purchasing or inventory management. And the general concept of Planity is to be able to connect leading engineering systems like Cabinavision or Microvellum or EMOS or whatever, and link that all the way to the back door of QuickBooks. So whether it's purchase orders or allocations or receiving or transferring of materials, moving them into WIP, checking them out, all bidirectionally linked, and even connects to what we're focusing on here today for Production Coach. I might mention, if you haven't checked out from our website under events, you'll see that actually in just under 2 hours from now, we're going to be doing a webcast introducing Planity. And so if you have any interest in learning more about that technology, you might click there and go ahead and register for the webcast that's happening at 3 p.m. Central Time. Today, this is going to take us, we start looking at things like tracking and business intelligence or sorting and kitting, and it's going to take us to the Production Coach page. And so here I want to spend just a moment to help you understand the purpose of this 3D factory and how I believe that it might be able to help you in your evaluation process of what this could look like in your factory. So we'll start with item number one, and notice that there's little plus signs that fly out to give you more information about each of these. But in essence, here's the way it works. In the office, you can do a variety of functions with Production Coach. The very main one is integrating it to your CAD/CAM system. And so, as we mentioned earlier, it's able to be connected to popular CAD/CAM systems and easily integrated into your factory. Also, from the office, you might want to do things like attach documentation that could be viewable on demand at any station on the floor. You might even want to be able to create packing lists or a variety of other functions from the office. In item number two, if you hit the little plus there, you'll of course see some of the things that you can do with it. Item two is meant to indicate really two things that I think are important. For many of our customers, they want to know when a work order has started at first operation, whether that's panel saw, nested base, combinations of those two. So you might want to consider that information so you'd always know, has a work order started in production yet, or has it completed at first operation? But realistically, number two is also to indicate that you can have any number of stations on the floor. When we say station, we're generally talking about a computer, a monitor, or an all-in-one, and always a barcode scanner. And optionally, at some stations, we might even want to have printers. In this example of number two at first operation, generally the labels are generated from the CAD/CAM system, and Production Coach is able to use those labels to allow you to do part level tracking in the factory. And again, with number 2, it could be any number of places that you might want to be tracking to know, has a work order started? Is it partway done, or is it completed at an individual operation? Item number 3 in its little flyout is put here, not to tell you that you shouldn't have stations at certain places, but to make it obvious that you can run the system without actually having production coach at every imaginable location on the floor. I mean, we have customers with 50 or plus stations on the floor, which is great. We have others that are really successful with, 4 or 5 stations that are really doing some of the most, heavy lifting and fundamental help to the factory. So just know that you don't have to have them everywhere. If we go look at number 4, this is a really powerful technology that can be applied to any station. In this particular example, we are utilizing the sorting module to enable you to be able to scan part labels coming from panel processing and to be able to organize them by product automatically. Not only to organize them, but to show you if anything is missing, just a number of really, really great features about it to makes it really helpful in your factory. Not only can sorting happen for case parts, sorting can happen for fronts and drawer boxes. It can happen for separate base assemblies. Sorting can happen with fixed racks. It can happen with mobile carts. We can do just some amazing things with even synchronizing sorting throughout multiple processes. So that can be super helpful for sure. Item number 5 is meant to depict the assembly. So what I want you to imagine for a moment is we released a work order. I don't know what your batch size is. There's a variety of companies on, and so I'm sure each are different, but I can tell you after surveying hundreds of customers, that it's not uncommon for batch sizes to run around 30 to 40 boxes if we're talking in the language of cabinets, just as an example. And so let's use a median of that and say that we're releasing a work order that has 35 cabinets in it that have an average of 10 parts apiece. That meant going through panel processing, we had 350 parts. That's a lot of moving parts to get organized and all kinds of things for it. And so now imagine that as fast as you could scan, it's organized all the parts ready for assembly. And so now at assembly, they only pull from bins that have exactly all of the parts that are available for that. It could display for them on screen an image of the 3D cabinet. It could show them not only that, but also all of the individual parts, the sub-assemblies such as fronts and drawers, and the exact hardware that they need. It can also display for them important information such as go get your fronts from cart C in slot 5. So it can also work with synchronized sorting. Here we also can change the status automatically so that we know that the box has been assembled. And as a result of that, we can auto-generate a product label. So here's where you're finding a first example of a product label being used throughout the process. By the way, not only can we manage multi-parts to become sub-assemblies or assemblies, but we can also help you with kitting. So for example, some of my customers don't assemble adjustable shells. So if we look back at number 3, we might say, hey, coming off of last operation, I want to scan those parts onto a pallet. I want to wrap them up and then have production coach not only update their status, but to generate a kit label for those as well. Item number 6 in its flyout is intended to depict what we call staging. And so for many of our customers, we don't really get the luxury of going directly from assembly onto the truck. And so often it's necessary to be able to begin organizing a order and being able to move it into a location that everybody knows. As a matter of fact, for many of our customers, it's not just cases. They might have, for example, they might have a solid wood area or a custom area. Maybe they need to also get staged range hood or die walls or molding bundles or hardware bags, whatever that is, to know that everything has been staged. Finally, number 7, inside of the factory is a very powerful one that is what we think of as shipping. And so here we're able to scan barcodes onto the truck based on the packing slip that was created, and the system literally will make it absolutely obvious to you so that you never close the truck door with something missing from it. It also won't let you scan things on to the truck that are not part of the packing list. And so getting the shipping right is a really big deal. I've been in a whole lot of factories over time, and it seems to be one of the very common things that companies struggle with is getting that shipment absolutely accurate. Just a little sideline story. Sometimes you have things in life that you just don't forget, that things that are highly memorable. And one time I was in Montreal, and I was at a presentation. There was, I don't know, 100 companies there or something. And a guy was really smart, kind of profound, and he was giving a presentation, and he had a blank whiteboard. And on the whiteboard, he wrote a $sign. And he said, friends, this is what it costs you when you discover an error or an issue at the estimate level. And below that, he wrote $2 signs. And he said, friends, this is what it costs when you discover the problem or the error in engineering. Below that, he made $3 signs and said, friends, this is what it costs when you discover the error or problem in manufacturing. And below that, he made multi-dollar signs. And what became obvious was that it costs a lot more if our problems make it to the job site, to the customer. And so making sure that we have QC'd everything, we've scanned everything onto the truck, we got date and timestamps is huge. Probably just that one station is enough to more than pay for everything else, for sure. And then finally, number 8 is actually to the job site. Some of our customers do their own deliveries and or their own installs, and so we have the ability to connect all of this happening inside of your factory in the LAN or the local area network to the web, so that people that were doing deliveries or installs could also update the status, such as what they have delivered, what they haven't, what they've installed, what they haven't. But it also gives them incredible communication back to the factory. So for example, looking directly below the number 8, I see a guy is unloaded off the truck. Maybe there's a problem. He scanned a barcode. He could be using a smart device, tablet, whatever it is. And let's say we got a wireless scanner. And so he scans a barcode, and it's going to tell him information about what that is. It could also enable so that he might say, hey, you know what? This has a damage. This has a problem to it. And just from that one barcode scan, it could then display all of the parts. So he's got an easy selection that says, is it all, meaning the product needs to be rebuilt, or an individual part? No, in this case, it was just the left door. Simply by doing that, he could take a picture of it, make a note, and that would automatically come back and notify whatever stations that you want inside of the factory about that occurrence. So really, really powerful stuff. While we're here on the web page, I'm just going to take you through a few things. Of course, there's a huge number of videos, information about the ways that it can help you, connectivity, and that's not even all of them that we do, but here's the general interface itself. So on the left-hand side of the screen is going to list for you the very work orders that are inside of the system. In the upper section of this, it's going to display for you the assemblies, and then in the lower section of this, it's going to display the loose items. And of course, a one-time configuration of data to utilize your rules is going to make obvious exactly what is separated upon import and what is not. Of course, you can have from this information lots of intelligence happening. So we give you ways to be able to monitor your factory, to be able to show you where you might have bottlenecks or constraints, maybe even want to be looking at data from a historical kind of a standpoint. For example, okay, I want to know what my leading cause of damaged parts was over the last 4 months. And so I say, oh, that it was occurring at edge banding. Well, that could clue me in that otherwise I might not realize that information to know that I needed to do some preventative maintenance or operator training or change a process, whatever it is. You're always able to see the status of a work order literally at a click of a button. Makes it really amazing to do that. Damaged part alerts and controls are super amazing. You know, we gave a reference a while ago of a work order with 35 cabinets, 350 parts. Even if we're doing a really great job and we have very small, defect rate of things that might get lost or damaged or whatever it is, that's still, even at 1%, would be 3.5 parts. And so it's something that we definitely have to manage and manage in an effective way. For some of our customers, they want to also be able to track time, whether that's solely for the purposes of payroll, whether that's attributing labor time to work orders, or even being able to be more detailed about it. In this example, does this one let me blow up? No, it doesn't let me blow up, but you get the ability to be able to determine how time is being rolled up. So maybe I want to track it by the work order, but also by the department, and then maybe even by the task. So what's an example of a department? Let's say panel processing, and what could a task be? Edge banding. So we could be rolling up the times of the tasks to the departments, to the work order for sure. For some companies, they utilize our smart label functionality. Think of it as labels on demand at a nested-based router, but with high intelligence, being able to help pace the operator, help them know how to unload it efficiently, how to place the labels properly for orientation so we band the right edges, and to also be able to not only now have an updated status of every part, but also to be able to group it most efficiently for next operation. We already talked a little bit in number 4 of the 3D factory about sorting. Just a little image here of a sorting cart in this case. So a single barcode scan can organize all this stuff. Let us know what's missing from the bin. Let us be able to see with clear visibility if something was a damaged part and is being worked on as well. Again, some videos related to that kind of stuff. Assembly, this is that number 5, and so really powerful that a single barcode scan for many of the parts that came from the bin can generate the 3D assembly, give you full control over it. You can see below it, inside of it. You can hide items, whatever you might need to do. You see all the parts, all the fronts, and all the hardware to be able to build it. Of course, you're able to generate kits. And kits can be a number of things. In the example that I gave, maybe it was adjustable shells that were not part of assembly, but it could also be molding bundles. It could be cabinets on a pallet, anything that you might want to be able to do. And of course, then we help you to be able to stage. So we want to know, or I think it would be helpful to know exactly where individual work orders were being staged, and even in multiple locations, so that we can be very efficient when it comes to the shipping process. And again, shipping is really powerful. If you're able to include what you want onto the packing list and then scan against those items as they're being loaded onto a truck, I hear all the time companies talk about, well, we always send them out this sheet and they're supposed to mark off each item, or they're supposed to highlight it and somebody else is supposed to check it, and we still get problems from the job site. Well, this is a way to have date and time stamp, know that you know that you know that you're shipping 100% accurate before the truck door closes. And then, of course, related to the job site, making it super easy for smart devices to be able to extend your manufacturing execution all the way to the job site. So really powerful stuff. Great results, great customers. I never hear a customer say that they didn't have a complete return on investment in less than 6 months. If you get started with us, we really do have a great process, and I just want to describe it for a moment, and then I'll jump right into the software since we have plenty of time today. If you decided that you wanted to be a Production Coach customer, we have what we call a new customer bundle. It is the recipe or the way to get started. It enables you to impact some big areas in your factory without going too far too soon. Make it so that it's manageable and something that can be implemented very successfully in a quick amount of time. And thankfully, the system is incredibly modular, meaning that you can add other functionality. You can add more licenses or stations as you go, but a great way to get you going and highly successful in the initial processes of it. So I'm going to open up the software itself, and I want you to see a few things. First of all, this is the opening splash screen, and in my case, on a single computer, I have all of these individual stations, which you're not going to be doing out in a factory to be doing multi things, but for the purpose of this, and I'm just going to start with Office. And so when I fire up Office, again, just like you saw from the website, you'll see that there are a number of work orders in the system. Whatever I select on is going to display in the upper section the assemblies, and the lower section is going to display what is designated as the loose items. Again, that's configurable for you, and we connect to your CAD/CAM software as a result of that. So that's just a little bit about the interface. We'll get into more things as we work, but what I think would be good is if we started off by importing a new work order. So I'm going to go see that I have a work order now ready for importation, and so now it's available in the system. It happens to be PM004. Again, here's all of the assemblies, and here are the loose items for this work order. If I wanted to look at the intelligence that we've already gathered, I'm going to click on the button to see the status of this work order. You might imagine that we've done nothing yet other than import it into the system. So we haven't processed any parts, we haven't made any assemblies, we haven't shipped anything. But notice that the system was smart in that it knows how many parts are supposed to be going to each operation and or products as we're moving along. We know that there's a total of 380 steps. We have no back-ordered items and no damaged items as well. We'll change that here in just a moment so that you've got a good understanding of what the technology actually can do. Without scanning a million things, I'm going to change the status of some of these items just so that you can see. So I changed their status, except for this top one, to panel processing. So if we went and looked again at the job status, we would see that we're 94% of the way done. We actually have 9 parts that have not been completed at this operation yet. If I wanted to see what that is, I could literally click on it and see that it was a product that happened to have a number of 9 parts associated with it. So how would we fix that? Well, I'll change the status of this top one. And so now we will see that we have done that. And as a result, now we're 100% complete at panel processing. Nothing is missing from what it is that we're doing. And so now we've taken 163 steps out of 380 that we need to be able to do at this particular juncture within the work order. So while I was here in importing this work order, not only could I see data about it and see it moving through, but I also could do things, for example, if I wanted to be able to select and to be able to open up on-demand documentation. See lots of companies printing out lots of paperwork throughout the shop, and this is a great way to be able to have on-demand documentation, whether that's, elevation drawings or whatever it might be. You have the ability to have that information available. And while I'm here, let's go ahead and generate a packing list. So I'm just going to say, I want to create a packing list for PM004. Just I want you to notice something, that I could be very detailed about the way that I do this and include or exclude anything that I want. I can also be selecting items from other work orders that could be part of the packing slip as well. So I'll throw this one in and say, hey, I don't want this one. Whatever it is that you want to do, you have the ability to drive that into a packing list. And of course, once an item has been selected for a packing list, it's no longer available. So now we have this completed packing list. I can see everything. I could see just the detached items. I could see just the products. I could also be showing it by what has now shipped, which is nothing yet, or to display what's not shipped. And so lots of great tools here in the packing list area of the program as well. What I'm going to do is I'm going to open up another instance of Production Coach. And this time, I'm going to open it up as if we've already made it through panel processing, and now we're ready for the sorting operation. So we've sent it through panel saws or CNCs, edge banders, horizontal boring, whatever it is. And so now we are ready to get this organized by product. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to scan a barcode. And when I scan the barcode, notice that the very first thing that it's telling me is that I need to go get rack A. This work order that I imported only contained 10 products, and so it was able to fit all 10 inside of one rack that contained 12 slots. If this would have been our average median work order that would have had 35 cabinets, it would have told me go get rack ABC or ADF, depending upon what was available so that we could begin work. When I say, okay, I got the message and I have it, it's now going to flash red on the very bin that I'm to place the part in. But notice that it figured out where all of the other products are to go. Can even be super smart if we have different bin sizes to be able to figure out which product should best fit into which bins. So I'm going to scan another barcode. It's now telling me to put that part in 5, which means I don't have to think a whole lot. I'm just able to follow instructions. And 10, and I'm going to scan a few more. Okay, I scanned just enough parts to cause one of our bins today to turn green. If you notice the legend in the bottom left-hand corner, we have a number of things. If we had a damaged part, it would be orange. The bin was already assigned in a, for some reason, it would be red and unavailable. The gray is showing like a number 6 and 12 available for other sorting. Green, the what we want to get to, is ready for assembly. It has all of its parts. And blue is showing that the bin has been assigned and it's in progress, but does not yet contain all of the parts. And finally, yellow then would be the designator. Once a damaged part has been fixed or in process on its way back, then we would see that it would be in progress. So what we want to do is at the end of scanning is not have any blue bins. However, that's probably going to happen at some point. And so if I want to see what's in a bin, I can literally just click on it. And so now I could see what is inside of it, or I could see what's missing from it. Let's take a few examples. Let's say that a label fell off of a part. I can tell by the edge banding and the machining that it's a left side. I think it might go to this product, but I need more information. Now I can verify it by its width and length. I can verify it by its material, and I'm also able to verify it by its parent or the product. I can see that this is a 3-drawer base. As a result of that, I'm able to identify by that and so, by the drilling patterns. And so I'm just going to manually sort it, which meant that now it's in the bin, even though it doesn't have a part, because we're not going to need that from this point on. Let's also say as an example that I noticed when I'm getting ready to scan a part that it's damaged. I could literally click a button. I could give it a reason. And by the way, these are your reasons, however you want it to be. I'm going to blame edge banding. And this is going to then generate an alert in the system that is going to pop up. Here it comes. And there is the damaged part alert. By the way, that can be filtered to whichever stations you want. I can look at the data for it and see that, oops, it was damaged by edge banding. I got a time and date stamp. It was the sorting station that reported it. And maybe I want to see more details, even its barcode, so I can get that working. And now I'm going to tell it, hey, you know what? I'm ready now to send this back to panel processing, and we'll see it in action. So what you'll see is that 2 things occurred. Number one, I guess I hid it from you. It would have turned orange, and then when that part was back in progress, it turned yellow. So that's pretty cool. Hey, if you would remember that we have bin number 7 has all of its parts. What I'm going to do is open up another instance of Production Coach. And this time I'm going to open up as assembly. And so what might I do? Here, I might scan any one of the part barcodes coming from that bin, and just by a simple scan, what you're going to see is that we have generated a 3D image of the product. We have highlighted the part that has been scanned. We can see all of the parts, all of the sub-assemblies or fronts, and we can also see all the hardware needed for this. I also have control to be able to see below things, behind things, whatever it is. Maybe I want to see inside of something, and I say, hey, I want to hide this left-hand side, and then see inside. What is going on with this? So lots of powerful stuff. Notice that the status is now assembled, and I would have generated a product label for it as well. So I'm going to close that down for a moment. Let's go look at our status. It was a little bit goofy because, you know, we're only doing this in a demo process. So we have sorted 12% of the actual parts. We've done 20 out of 163 parts, and we have now assembled 1 out of 10 products. So we're getting some really great information as we move across. I failed to mention earlier, but we also have peer-to-peer chat functionality available for you as well. So we have the ability also to be able to stage orders. So now I can look at this and say, hey, I could scan a location, you know, with a QR code for it, or I could go select from a location. So now I'm going to say, you know what? I now have put the designator that PM004 is going to go in storage location or staging location A01. So easy enough to do that. So now everybody in the system knows where that work order is getting staged. Let's open up one more station. And let's make that the shipping station. And here, let's open up the packing list that was actually created in the office or wherever you want to do this. And so now let's think about scanning items onto the truck. So I just scanned an item, and notice that I'm on show all, so that's what I see. I could sort it, you know, by shipped on as an example. I could show what has been shipped. I could show what's not yet been shipped, but in this case, let's look at all of this as well. And so I'm going to sort it this way, and I'm now going to go scan another item onto the truck. So we'll see that it's here. And so these things are happening for us. And here we go. Here we go. And that helps us to see that we have scanned some items directly onto the truck. I had a customer one time out of Hiram, Utah, Homestead Cabinetry was doing a factory tour for us. And he said, you know, amazingly, we used to always get calls from the job site. They don't even ship inside of their state of Utah. It's, you know, stuff going to New York or to Colorado or California. And so it's really a big pain and very costly. And he says, amazingly, when we started sending out the packing list or shipping tickets with the time and date stamps, all of a sudden our phones stopped ringing with problems from the job site. So really powerful to be able to do those things and to be able to see exactly what's happening. So again, if I wanted to see what is missing, I can see all the items that have not yet been shipped. And so that makes it really helpful in the process for sure. So what I'm going to do is close this down for a moment. And I'm just going to generate, for example, a report. And so now we'll kick out the report that's going to show us exactly what happened. So you can have your time and date stamp, your logos, whatever it is that you need. And so we know. Here we only ship 5 of 22 items for the purpose of this demonstration, but I think that you probably get the point that it's really powerful, and we want to ship accurately every single time. We'll finally go back one more time and look at the status and see that we have not only staged 23%, but we have also shipped 23%. So we've got logic built in as well that says, even though I didn't scan an item into staging, if I scanned it at a later operation, I know that it was done. So lots of great logic, and we're just over halfway done in our process of what we're doing for the work order. So what I want to do is pop back open the webcast docking station. And I want to find out if we have any questions. Okay, So again, a little reminder, this is your opportunity, your time to be able to ask any questions that you might have. And I'll do my best to answer them as they're coming in. So first, I'm just reading for a second. Okay, so good question. So Production Coach is modular. What do I mean by that? Well, first of all, I'm a believer to let's keep it simple. Let's have some great wins. And then after we have really made huge impact, we can look at expanding the system. And so, no, you don't have to plan out your entire factory of every imaginable thing that you might want to do. I would actually advise on the opposite side of it. As a matter of fact, the most common configuration for new customer bundle is 5 licenses with 1 being in the office. That would leave us 1 at shipping, 1 at assembly, 1 at sorting, and then 1 at either first operation or custom, and easy to expand from there. So don't worry about having to get it 100% right. I think the last time I did a look back at customers, like 94% of all customers added to their system. And so I also would say the same thing, whether we're talking about timekeeping or business intelligence, whatever. Let's get a system in and then look at implementing those things into a phase 2. Great question. Thank you. Yes. So Production Coach is based on an SQL database. Let me just give you a little rundown as to what would happen and how this would work. Let's say that you decided that you wanted to put in a Production Coach, and so we had a signed agreement and money exchange hands, that kind of stuff. First of all, you're assigned a project manager, and the project manager will send you a welcome email and invite you to a kickoff meeting. In the kickoff meeting, we'll review exactly what happened in the sales process, what's included and what's not included, just as a final check to make sure that we have a kind of a go, no-go point in case there were any discrepancies. That ensures us and allows us to be able to know that we're going to have 100% success every single time. And so during that process of kickoff with the project manager, once the project is fully understood, then a project plan will be developed and presented to you for your sign-off. At that point, you'll know exactly what hardware that you're going to want to acquire to accomplish the goals associated. We do not supply the PCs, monitors, scanners, or printers. And so what we do is help you not only with the budget for it, but exactly what the recommended hardware would be for your specific application. Then in the process, you go order your hardware and get it in and get it connected. And in most cases, I'm going to suggest, unless it's an area that has very low amount of scanning, that we want it actually hardwired, so connected to your LAN, with a direct connection instead of a web connection. You can utilize things like tablet and web, but just trust me, when you're going to be doing more heavy scanning, that you're not going to want to have that delay of wait. So let's say that we have a Bluetooth scanner, great, it's not connected, and now we have a computer and it's only connected via internet. So it needs to read write to the database. That's where, after you have the hardware connected remotely, we install the SQL database. It can be on a server, it can be on a PC, wherever you want it to. We're backing up all the data and stuff for you, but we install the SQL database, and then we install the program or the application of Production Coach on each of the PCs out in the factory, and of course then the office for connecting that, and we test remotely to make sure that we have no IT issues and we're able to read write to the database. Once we have verified those things, then we schedule to come on site, and we come on site not only to finite the integration, to be able to see actual production going through it, to enable you to be live and actually running, not some distant time in the future, but while we're there, and then to train the individual operators at each of these. It's very easy. You can see that it's kind of big button for them on the floor, but yet we want to ensure that you're really, really running in a super live environment. Sorry about my voice. I apologize. I made the decision this morning that I thought that I was going to be able to make it through the day, but just 45 minutes of speaking causes a little choke up session. So, by the way, I want to just remind you again that we do have a presentation for Planety that is occurring at 3 p.m. Central Time, 4 p.m. Eastern, 2 p.m. Mountain, 1 p.m. Pacific. Today, you might want to get registered for that. You have about an hour and 15 minutes before that starts. It's just bringing together all the pieces of the puzzle. So imagine you've got your favorite CAD CAM, whether that's a microphone, a Cabinet Vision, whatever it is, and imagine connecting that downstream to harness more value from your existing part labels and barcode, and to also be harnessing it to be able to manage the purchasing and inventory and connect all this stuff together, including QuickBooks for your operation. Very, very powerful. What is the lead? Okay, so I don't have an exact lead time for how long between order and when you're live, because some of this is going to depend on you. For example, when you're willing to schedule the kickoff meeting, when you sign off on the project plan, when you have ordered the hardware and have it put in place. And so we do our very best to be able to cause you to always be the bottleneck or constraint. But as a result of that, I don't have a way to pick it. We have some projects that fast track, people know what they want, they're ready to go and they move on it. And we have others where, you know, life happens, get busy, somebody's out, whatever it is. So we're always going to do our very best to help you. The best that I can tell you is if you're thinking about doing this, now would be a better time than waiting till we get into December, as companies are trying not only to get end-of-year purchases made, but also to fast-track integration so that it qualifies for Tax Rule 179 and those kind of things. Price question. So it's really modular, and you can do with it what you want. So to give you a price is rather almost impossible unless we had a discussion. However, we do have a new customer starter bundle that I can at least give you budgetary information for. It includes link to your CAD CAM. It includes 5 licenses. That's 1 in the office and 4 in the factory. It includes the sorting module, a really nice configuration, including your support and the services. The only thing it doesn't include is the hardware or the technician travel expenses to come on site. And we have that offer at $25,680. So if you want to add a station, it's going to add a little bit. You want to take away, but that ought to give you a really good ballpark. Also, from our website at rsasolutionscom, you will see under the financing, we've got an incredible, easy, and very cost-effective way to be able to finance the software as well. So anyway, hopefully that's helpful. Yes. So you, how do I say this? Great question. This is a Windows-based application. What is web-based is the job site side of it, but inside of your factory, it will install on Windows-based PCs or tablet if you want to be disconnected for a station or a license that is not going to have heavy scanning. So, good question. So when we have a situation where we can't utilize a barcode, let's say that we are making some 5-piece doors that once they're built, they're going to get sanded, they're going to get finished, and those kind of things. Of course, we have a lot of customers with us. So we have a number of strategies as to how you might want to track production or sort or whatever it is that you might want to do. I think that question is best answered by saying, you know, raise your hand, let us know that you want to have a discussion about it. We'll look at your, you know, factory layout and exactly what is going on and then help you with the right strategy. Whether that's a print to scan that is just designating that the entire work order has started, for example, in custom department or is finished, or if we want to be able to generate barcodes on screen or in a printed form so that you still have scannable items, we can definitely help you with a great strategy there. Great question. I like that a lot. What else? You know, I think that pretty much covers. So again, it doesn't matter whether it's cabinets that you're building, it could be custom fixtures, it could be anything, and it doesn't, you know, it's just not limited. You know, even for this is a great example. So here we imported an order, and maybe our CAD CAM system didn't have anything in it, so I'm going to say, hey, I've got 12 sticks of crown that I need to be part of this, and so I'm going to give this a series of numbers just made up, and so now you'll see that we actually have scannable items that can then be part of kits, and so it's really not limited. If you're worried about can this work for you, reach out to us, and I assure you that you'll gain full confidence that Production Coach can make a huge impact in your factory. So with that said, and no more questions popping in, I want to thank you so much for spending time with us today. I hope that it was helpful, and that you've got a new understanding on what's possible to happen with manufacturing execution. Please do frequent the rsasolutionscom website. There's lots of great information and content being updated on a regular basis. So with that said, I want to wish you a great day. Again, thank you, take care, and God bless.